The real issues, the real talk.
We are working together for the development of Ghana.
It means that we have separation of powers.
Already we're talking about moving from what? A deficit of some 9% to 6.5%.
The critical challenge that faces every leader in the world today is the issue of creating jobs.
We will put at least 1 million people to work.
Ghana, after 16 years, has a public structure that is not responsive.
Join me, Moomen Tonight, from Monday to Friday, 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. on GBC 24.
Good evening, many thanks for joining us here on GBC 24. This is Moomen Tonight. My name is Moomen, and tonight we focus on postal and courier services, and more specifically we are looking at the institution, the body that regulates the activities of providers of postal and courier services. And we're talking about the Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission right here in Ghana. What do you know about the work that they do, and how often do you use postal or courier services? Now, do you even know the difference? And who do you entrust your goods, your items, your letters and other parcels with when you want them delivered to another person elsewhere apart from where you live? Do you trust that these goods, these services, whatever it is that you are sending will be delivered intact? Well, sometimes we have heard stories about people who have been defrauded because they gave out very valuable items to people who purported to be courier or postal service providers. It turns out that these persons were fraudsters. The Regulatory Commission, among other issues, is expected to regulate and to ensure that our parcels are safe. Do you know about the work that they do? This is exactly what we are about to tell you about today as we engage the Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission here in the conversation. I have a lady and a gentleman. The lady is seated to my immediate left. Hamdaratu Zakaria is the Acting Executive Secretary of the Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission. Thank you so very much. Excited to meet you.
Excited to be here.
I wanted to talk about other issues, but I'll reserve that to the tail end of the show. But we also have with us Mr. John Olete Ofute. Otute, sorry, I beg your pardon. Mr. Otute is the Director of Licensing and Regulation here at the Postal and Courier Services. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting to be here with us. I'm grateful for your time as well. Let's do this. I'd like to start the conversation with you, Executive Secretary. Usually, when we start conversations like this for the purposes of education, we like to put the conversation in proper perspective. Let's start by looking at postal services and courier services. What are the services that qualify to be described as postal services, and what are those that qualify to be described as courier services?
I think the Act is, that's the Act 649, is very plain about these two categories of service. With the courier service, what the Act says is that is the transfer of items, such as parcels and then packages. And with this delivery, you don't need a postage stamp. So with that, we call it courier. So that is just moving packages and then parcels from one place to the other. But with postage stamps, sometimes you require is the physical distribution of parcels as well, and then as well as postcards and then letters. But in certain cases with postage, you need the stamps, like the Ghana Post, which is the national designated entity to use postage stamps. But we also have other services like the bus services, especially STC and other bus services. Even trotros these days do the postage, where you can send parcels, postcards, and letters without the use of a postage stamp. Yeah. So that's just the tiny distinction between Courier and then postal services.
Okay, I'll come back to you to find out exactly what your mandate as a commission is. But Mr. Otute, not too long ago, you were in the news for having collaborated with the police to arrest about 50 or so people who you suspected to have been engaged in courier and postal services without proper licensing. What more can you tell us about this?
Thank you, Moomen. The Section 10 of the Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission Act 2003, Act 649, states that no person is permitted to undertake a postal or courier service in Ghana without a license issued by the Commission. So anybody doing a postal or a courier service or delivery service in Ghana without a license from this commission, Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission, is flouting our regulations. So the action we took with the police was a joint one. We went out arresting those who are providing postal and courier services without a license from the commission.
How were you able to identify these persons?
The persons who have been granted licenses by the commission, we know them by their names, their business names. And most, especially the courier service providers, they have their motorbikes, they have their tricycles branded in the colors and the names of the company. For instance, when you see a DHL van, you know this is a DHL van. When you see a FedEx van, you know this is a FedEx van. And even the others, the domestic one, you can say that yes, this is a courier company. And also, anytime when we stop them, we ask them, which company or organization do you work for? So if they mention a name that we don't know, we quickly go through our register. Then we know that this one, we don't know this operator. So it means that it's an illegal operator.
Okay, so again, this is how our society operates, that you know, the issue of Okada, for instance, and the police themselves are struggling to deal with it. But I live in Kasua. I just spoke to my cousin who wants me to send him a shirt, and he's in Tema. And I just walk out and I find this guy who I know is an area guy. I pay him 50 cedis and I give him the parcel to deliver to my friend in Tema. And he delivers it. He has done, per the description and definition that we're given by Hamdara too, what he's done is basically providing courier service. You can't arrest such a person, can you?
Yes, that such a person can be arrested. Because as I said earlier, such a person is flouting the regulations of the commission. He is not being regulated by anybody. It's a big risk. Just, you just give an item to somebody to deliver to another person without knowing even the person you are giving the item to. What about if the person goes to tamper with the item? Especially, let's take medicine or drugs, or even food, or water, or let's say beverages. The person can easily do anything with the item you're giving to him. So it's not advisable to give a postal item. When we say a postal item, we mean a parcel, a packet, to somebody to be delivered to another person without finding out whether the person has a license with the commission, the Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission. If you know the name of the company and then the name of the rider, even without the name of the rider, you know the name of the company and maybe the license number on the motorbike, and you come to the commission, we'll be able to trace, we'll be able to tell you this is the company, this is the premise of the company, this is the office, and then whatever we have to do as regulators, we'll take the necessary action. Yes.
All right. What's your mandate? What's the remit within which you operate as a commission? Because listening to Uncle John, I get the impression that even as an individual, I do not have the right to just walk to anybody at all and say, you deliver this parcel for me at this location for this price. I don't have that right.
I would say yes and no. And before I answer that question, I would just want to add to what the director said about the, the answer he gave to your question. That's how do we know? The operation we did last week, how did we identify the illegal operators? As a commission, we are all ambassadors. So as we go about our daily activities, our eyes are always wide open, looking at motorbikes that brand themselves as courier operators. I come every morning with stories that, this morning I asked a courier service to deliver something to my daughter at school, and then sometimes I take pictures and then I send to them. Do you know them? Are they, usually you are not able to tell offhand that, this person is registered with her because we have a lot, or this person is not. So what you do is you try to engage them. Do you know these people? But they always assume some of them are registered under the company's code. So they just assume that is it. So you let them know that no, it's not enough. You have to come. And then from me, my interactions with them, you get to know where they are. So it adds up to our scope and then investigations and then where we need to go when we are doing these operations. And then every person in this organization does that. And then also when they go out on monitoring visits, they are not just looking out for our operators, registered operators, but they are also always looking out for those that are flouting the rules. Sometimes they pretend they don't know, but it's still illegal whether you know or not. Yes. And then back to your question of you don't have the right. I would say yes and no. Because as Ghanaians, we have the responsibility to do the right thing. We have the responsibility to shun people who are flouting the rules and regulations of the nation. Because if you engage in a courier service that is not registered, it means the person is not paying tax at all. And then when the person is not paying tax, it means the government is losing. And when the government loses, you and I lose as well. So it's always, we would advise that before you engage a courier service, just a little interrogation. Do you know these people? Are you registered with them? It might sound, a bit, maybe we are wasting your time, like you just said, you need to send a shirt across to someone in Tema. But it's worth it because you are trying to help us do what? Sanitize the courier services. Others tell me in my face that, it's just one motorbike. It's just one motorbike, and then I'm just doing it for a living. You're doing it for a living, but you have to pay the tax. You understand? Because you are earning money, and when you earn money, you need to pay tax on that. It's a business. So when you are doing a business, you need to pay tax on the income that you generate. So yes, you have a responsibility as a Ghanaian to engage only legal courier operators. In that way, you'll be helping us and then you'll be helping Mother Ghana. I'm
looking at the number of people, taking a cursory look at the number of people who provide such services. And if all of them were to submit themselves to the commission, you would have difficulties trying to regulate all of them. Do you have the resources? Are you well equipped?
I don't think we will have a difficulty in regulating them. Yes, maybe in terms of vehicles to move around for normal inspection, we might have a little challenge now. But it would not be a challenge that would be on for a long time, because these companies will be coming in to register, and then they pay some amount of money that for that registration, and then with that, we can expand our facilities to be able to accommodate the larger number of entrants. Yeah, so I don't think and then also I think we have the requisite staff size to be able to move around, and then it's like it won't be so difficult to do because we have a laid out monitoring structure for the year. So let's say we have about 49 courier operators now, assuming it doubles, due to all this education that is going on, assuming it doubles, instead of doing maybe 20 visits at a time, what we need to do is just double it as well, which I think is not, because sometimes they go for monitoring visits and it's just half a day. Yeah, but the monitoring officer or manager is supposed to be engaged the whole day. So I don't think that will be too much. And then we have quite a large team. Licensing and then regulation is our main mandate. And then so we have quite a large team for that. And for me, I think the team is still huge enough to manage our numbers even if we double it.
Okay, so Mr. Otute, one of the reasons that perhaps you'll find that some drivers do not have licenses, that some chemical or pharmacy, medical sellers, whatever they call them, do not have licenses, and so on and so forth, is because of the frustrations that they go through in attempting to get the legal license to operate. But living in an economy where people need to survive, under the frustrations, they just leave the legality aside and proceed. You are asking persons who want to get into this industry to legally register and get licensed. But how smooth is the licensing process?
Thank you. The Commission has adopted a flexible licensing regime, very flexible to get. And the Act establishing the Commission state that the following persons are qualified to be granted licenses. You must be a citizen of Ghana, and then you must also register a body corporate or a company, a partnership, any of these three. So all that the person needs to do is to register either a company, sole proprietorship or business name, or a partnership. Then you come over with your registered certificate and all the documentation. Then you buy an application form. We'll help you fill the application form. Then you submit your tax grants, social security grants. We do an inspection of your premises. We inspect your premises, and then management decides whether you qualify for a license, and most of the time they get a license. So the system we have adopted is very flexible, because one of the key functions of the Commission is to promote and encourage an expansion of the postal services for the social and economic development of the country. And especially the courier sector has the potential of generating a lot of employment for the young people, the youth in Ghana. And quite a number of them, you can see so many of them on motorbikes with the boxes at the back, doing or providing delivery services, courier services, etc., etc. So the key function of the Commission is to accelerate the pace of economic growth and development by helping government in terms of giving licenses to people, especially Ghanaians, young Ghanaians entrepreneurs who want to go into delivery service, courier services. They are welcome. As many as can come. We are ready. We have the capacity. We have the capability to regulate them.
How much does it cost to register and to get a license?
Thank you. The application form is 150 Ghana cedis. How much you pay as your license fee depends on where you are placed. We have different categories and different classes, depending on our assessment of what you want to do. So it depends on where you find yourself.
Tell me about the categories. So what you have persons who are only registered and licensed to deal with food items, and you have different categories.
Yes. We have the international ones, and then we have the domestic ones. For the international, we have 3 categories. That is international small, international medium, and then international large. For domestic, we have the same categories as well. For the domestic, we have domestic small, domestic medium, and then domestic large. So for a beginner, for the international small, the first initial license fee is 5,500, and then you do an annual renewal of 2,500 cedis. For international medium, you have 22,000 cedis as the initial license fee, and then 10,000 cedis renewal annually. For the large, we have 45,000 cedis and then 20,000 cedis renewal annually. And then these licenses are valid for 5 years. So when you pay the initial license fee, every year you pay the renewal fee until after 5 years, then you reapply again for a new license. For the domestic small, we have 3,500 for the initial license, and then 1,500 for the renewal annual. And then for medium, we have 5,500, and then you have an annual renewal fee of 2,500. For the large, we have 9,000 cedis for initial license, and then 4,000 for the renewal annually. And so I think this is not so much for courier operators to pay. You know, it's very. And then just to add to what director said, I think our licensing process is the smoothest and then the fastest. You know, we don't waste time in granting because we want to encourage people to come. So as long as you submit, you put in an application to us in writing, we respond within 5 days. Since I got here, I don't remember any application process lasting for a month. No, as long as you return the application form in time with all the necessary documentations. You know, aside you being registered as a legal entity under the company's code, we require that when you are submitting the application form, you should add your business plan, because we need to know that you're not just going to take people's parcels and money and run away the next day. You know, we need a detailed business plan to, you know, ascertain that yes, this is a viable business that has a vision and then a mission to grow. You should also have proof of your tax clearance from Ghana Revenue Authority. We also require that you come with a SNIT clearance form. You know, if you are employing people, you need to assure us that you have that security for them. If they are casual workers, fine, but if these are permanent employees, you need to assure us that we are not just interested in taking the money for the government, but we are interested in people's welfare, you know, after which we do a physical inspection. And our monitoring team is always on the move, ever ready to go and inspect facilities, depending on how fast you bring your documentation. So if there's a delay, usually it's not with the commission. Maybe it's with the documentation that they have to put together. So
these requirements are very formal requirements, and I'm looking at an economy where largely you have so many people who are involved in the informal sector. And so you go to a place like Abosokan, where a mechanic goes to get spare parts, and he doesn't even go there. He has a friend who is operating at Abosokan. He calls him and says, I need a spare tire, or whatever it is. And he says, get someone to bring it to me. And you have these motorbike riders all around, and that's what they do informally. And so it's handed over to them, and they take it. But you are saying such persons must also come and register. But the truth is that such persons do not own companies. Such persons may not even be able to raise 150 Ghana cedis at a go to come and get a license. And so the vicious cycle then continues.
Yes, that's very true, and those are the lapses that we are looking at. I won't agree with you when you say they won't be able to raise that money. I think they can. Even before I joined this commission, I do courier services. I tell them each day that, look, at times before I leave my house, I'll spend 100 to 200 cedis just either receiving, because the person I'm purchasing the items from won't pay for the delivery service. I have to pay for the delivery service. So either sending or receiving, I have to pay. So the delivery service is costly. From here to where I live, which is just around the corner, I don't pay less than 20 to 30 cedis. And that takes 20 minutes. From here, it takes the motor rider 15 to 20 minutes to get to my home. So if he's able to do 10, 20 times of these, transactions a day, you can't say you can't afford. What I think is lacking is they don't know. Most of them genuinely don't know, and then it's up to us as a commission to go down there and educate them. Let them know that, look, yes, you can afford it. Just put it in your mind. And even, let's have that dialogue. I'm just starting, so I need to be putting this together. I need, maybe just let us know, I need 6 months to raise that money and then come. We just need the assurance because we want to help you do the right thing. But you can't be doing this for more than a year and then you say you can't raise the money. No, they can raise it. And then when we engage them in that dialogue, explain to them what their responsibilities are, and then let them know that we are here to assist them, because sometimes the backlash we get after these operations, what we had last week is that we don't know. And defaulters would always find an excuse. We don't know. So what we intend to do is we will intensify the public education. We'll go down to that level, the communal level. Like you said, let the Oboso-Kind spare parts dealers and whoever carry their wares around know that, look, this is a business you are into. You are not just picking Moomen's car battery to him for free. You are charging him for that. And when you charge him for that, you have that responsibility to pay a certain portion, just a tiny portion of that amount, back to the government.
You see, and the issue of paying taxes has never excited anybody at all. You are in charge of licensing. So apart from just telling us that, look, we should be responsible enough to pay taxes, let's register so that the nation can benefit, not everyone will listen to this kind of pitching. What else is there in getting a license that inures to the benefit of the operator himself?
Thank you. First of all, before the license is granted, we take them through certain processes. We take them through our regulations. We tell them about the industry or the market. Then we also tell them about the various niches within the market, what you can do with your license. Then we also organize workshops, seminars for them, conferences. Last year we had one, Postal and Courier Conference 2018, and the operators came in their numbers. And we learned so much, the regulator and then the regulated. All of us were there. We learned so much. So we do all this for the benefit of, as part of capacity building process for other operators to be able to do better, be able to make more money. The other thing is that when you come for the license, you give your business that kind of legitimacy. You can do your business without looking behind you, whether somebody is coming after you. Then the confidence to approach somebody or a would-be client to give you a business, maybe a financial institution, for instance, or any other organization, that I have 4 motorbikes with 4 riders, I want to do or render courier or delivery service for you. If you have a license, you'll be able to approach that. So we are making an appeal to all those who are operating in the gray area of the market, including the members of the transport associations, the GPRTU, Food Tour, etc. In fact, we started reaching out to them. That come together, register a business. Each lorry station can register one business, then apply for courier license, so that we recognize them as licensed operators, and then we'll help them, guide them, so that they do their business better, expand, employ more people for the prosperity of our nation, Ghana.
So how about the customer, the one who considers convenience to reach out to the registered clients might take some time, but a man just passing on a motorbike is readily available. And so it is to the convenience of the customer to just employ the services of such a person. How will ensuring that you deal only with properly licensed courier service providers inure to the benefit of customers as well?
Thank you. We have identified quite a number of illegal operators. So we have a list of identified illegal operators. From time to time, occasionally, we publish their names in their dailies. Last year, we even sent their names to some of the radio stations. They mentioned their names. Don't do business with these business entities because they are illegal operators. Then we have also intensified our public education, including what we are doing now. And thank you for this medium. We know this message will go very far. So we are appealing to the general public, anybody you see on the motorbike, to deliver something for you or to buy a pizza or something for you. It is dangerous. Rather, what we are going to do now as a commission is that we will continue or continually publish the name of licensed courier operators. So for the general public to know them, know their locations. So that if you live, let's say you live at say Mamfobi, you know the nearest courier operator, you know their telephone number, you can call them and ask them to buy something for you or deliver something for you. The other thing is that we are also appealing to the licensed courier operators to take advantage of their opportunities, or if you like, other opportunities in the market. There are so many of them, like the Busoka spare parts case you mentioned. There are so many of them. Some can go into the various markets, other areas. In fact, others are really specialized. Others have even gone into medical supply and other things. Where, for instance, if somebody wants to do a lab test in South Africa or somewhere, we have courier companies that deliver those items. But there are more opportunities that they need to take advantage of. So public education has already started. We have intensified, and we are going to do much more. We'll move from cities to city. We'll educate the general public that these are the people you need to do business. So don't just call anybody to deliver anything for you.
For now, I'm focusing on the local scene, or move to the international level in a bit. But again, for persons who deal in the provision of food services like restaurants, pizza joints, what I have observed now is that when it's lunchtime, people make calls to these restaurants and so on and order for their lunch. And then the company itself owns some of these motorbikes and cars that deliver the food to such persons. Are they also required to register, given the fact that they are not doing it on the basis that you would have STC or VIP do, or any of these other companies such as EMS, DHL, and so on? Are they required to also register with you?
Yes, they are required to register with us because the services they render are not free services. The cost, most of the time, you see the cost is embedded in the price of the item itself.
So, which they have already paid tax for?
Yes, it's part of it.
Yes.
So for instance, if a Postal and Courier Service Commission decide that we want a company to supply us or lunch of it's not going to be a free service. They will be asked to pay for it. So what we are saying is that delivery service is part of courier service. It's the delivery aspect of it.
But they'll be paying double tax one day.
It's not double tax.
Really? Well, they are already registered with the tourism authority and so on, and so they are paying tax on the services they are providing. Yes. And as part of that service, they are delivering the food or whatever item it is to you at your doorstep. And they'll be charged extra.
It's not it's the delivery aspect of it. If a company, let's say Papa's Pizza.
Yes.
You know Papa's Pizza, what do? Everybody knows that they are the ones who normally make pizza. And so you buy pizza from them. Next time you ask them to deliver maybe bottles of Coke or bottles of soft drink or any other, it will be delivered through the same means. And what we have discovered is that anybody that delivers something, when we give that person the opportunity to deliver another thing, is likely to do so. So it's the delivery aspect of it that makes it compulsory for them to come for their license.
And then I agree with Moomen with when you said they already paid tax on the delivery service to the government. Some tell us that they outsource the courier service. So what we are trying to tell them is, well, if you want to outsource the courier service, approach us. Let us give you our legal operators. Don't just engage any courier operator you find out there. We need that collaboration. Come to us, we'll give you a list of our operators that are licensed under this commission, so you can engage them. Or let us know those that you are working with, so we can speak to them or encourage them to come here and then legalize their operations. So it's not all the food vendors that pay tax on the delivery service. And then even that, some charge, you pay the food separately where you pay your VAT, but I don't think you pay tax on the delivery service. I'm yet to confirm that. I think they just charge you the VAT component of the food or whichever item you are purchasing. But the delivery service, I'm not sure about that. And then it's a very key thing that we need to look into and see how we can streamline that. But most of them, they just tell you that they outsource the delivery of the food items. So what we are saying is, if you outsource, okay, come to us, let's give you our list of operators so you can outsource that to them, because they are operating under the laws of Ghana. Right. If not, let's give us the names of those that you engage, so we can speak to them to come and then regularize their operations. Yeah.
Has it come to your notice, even though that some companies may be registered, so I'll use the transportation companies for example, so you have some of the drivers going behind the authorities to take parcels directly, parcels that are not registered in the system. Has this come to your attention? And if it has, as a regulatory body, what are you doing about it?
It hasn't come, but I think most of us are victims. I send parcels through STC to Tamale all the time, and then you go, you miss the normal working hours, or the person in charge is just moved out maybe to have lunch or something, and then the driver tries to position himself to, oh, okay, who are you taking it to? I can't do that for you. Even before I joined this commission, I always say no, because I believe in safety. I'm sending this for a reason, and I want to make sure that it gets to the person. If you don't deliver it, what do? I don't have any legal right to hold you on. So it's a two-way. So we'll go back to the general public and say, please don't encourage these drivers. And then we'll also entreat the bus operators to speak to their drivers and then the conductors. Let them know that what you are doing is illegal. Let the person go through the right process. Your duty is to drive the car there safely. You don't have the right to pick a parcel on behalf of the company you are working for, because that's not your duty. So I think it's a two-way thing. The public shouldn't encourage them, because and then the heads of institutions too should try and then encourage their workers not to engage in that act. I think it's not to engage in that act.
Okay. Before I bring Mr. Otute back into the picture, when you were talking to us about your mandate, you didn't talk about freight forwarders. And I found that quite interesting, because freight forwarders are very much a part of the system that delivers.
I think we have them. We have quite a number of them. We were not very plain about, we just bulk them under the international category. So most of our freight forwarders fall under the international, large, medium, and then small. So we have, that category is mainly these freight forwarders, and then they've been forthcoming. It's strange that they you don't have to push so much for them to come. I think, I don't know why, but I'm just assuming that is because of the quantum of goods that they handle. They always want, and then maybe the kind of people they engage with, so they always want that security. So they don't want to appear, quote unquote, in daily graphic as being operating illegally. It doesn't only affect them in Ghana, but it affects them internationally. So we don't actually have an issue there. We have them come, unless we have any that I don't know. The issue you just mentioned is the local ones. A typical example is the Abuso kind one you just, and I think it's the whole mentality that, what is this? I don't have to pay for this. Yes, you have to, because you are earning money so much more than I earn here. So you can't just say, I don't have to regularize it. You have to. Yeah. So with the freight forwarders, they fall under the international category, and then we don't have issues with them. Yeah, none that I know of.
So to say, still on the freight forwarders, what I know is that many of them belong to or are regulated by other bodies such as the Shippers Council and Customs and so on. Why must they still be regulated by you as well? Because there are other state institutions already taking care of the fact that they will pay taxes, the fact that they will not engage in illegal activities, and so on.
Thank you. The freight forwarders, as my boss has already said, we have quite a number of them already licensed by the Commission, including logistics companies. And we have normal freights, which go to the GCNet system, which takes a while. Then we have the courier items, or if you like, let's call them postal items, which go to the courier door. And those ones are cleared within minutes. So if you are freight forwarder, and then you declare your intention to do courier or to go into courier service provision, then you have to apply to the Commission for a license. And most of them do so. We collaborate with the airport authorities. So with the freight forwarders, if you attempt to send your item through the courier door, you'll be stopped. Customs will stop you. Ghana Airport Company and others, all of them, they will ask you, where's your courier license? You don't have a courier license, you are not supposed to clear through this means. Go to the GCNet system. So that collaboration is working and very effective. That's for the international ones. So most of the time you see them coming. Then we also do on our monitoring exercises, we go around the airport, we ask them, are you doing courier service? Do you do this? Do you know you have to come for a license? We educate them. And then we use other fora. We have, for instance, we have Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. They have their regular meetings. We are invited most of the time. Sometimes we ask to be invited, and then we go and we seize the opportunity to educate the members, the benefit of taking the courier license. We tell them the benefit. There was a time they asked me to demonstrate, and I demonstrated to them. They need to come for the courier license. So we have quite a number of them in our register. Now, let me quickly add something to the issue about the drivers accepting postal articles for conveyance or delivery. It is not good for public safety, and even not good for the driver himself, because the courier companies have been trained to inspect every item they receive or they accept for delivery or conveyance. So if a driver takes just any item or postal article or any baggage or whatever, it may contain explosives. It may even have maybe a gun or something inside that the driver may not know, and this thing can explode any time. It's not even safe for the passengers as well. So we are advising them, don't just go around. We know this has become part of our culture. That, let me give, like we say in our academy, money, I'm just giving this to be given to my mom, send this to my mom. But we are trying to let the public know that, no, it's about time we stopped this kind of
because when you go to some of these transportation companies, you're actually accosted by third parties who prevent you from going to the official sources because they can offer the service to you at a cheaper cost. And then the allegation is that most of these drivers are not paid formally, and that's how it's through these peripheral activities that they are able to make an income. Are you insisting that this should stop? And if you are, then you must get down to the transportation companies themselves. And whilst addressing that issue, Madam Underatu, one of the other things is if you are looking at customer interest, when you, and you have stated that you send parcels a lot, when you send a parcel, one of the issues you go through is anxiety, whether the parcel has arrived, especially if at the expected time you still haven't heard from the recipient. You get very anxious. But in Ghana, there's no tracking system, at least not to my knowledge. Are you insisting as a commission that there should be a way that the customer should be updated on the progress of the process of his service?
Yes, I think our operators have a way of tracking, not so sophisticated, you know, even though we are encouraging them to go digital, you know, but it's still a challenge. But most of them have a way, not most of them, all of them, because we, in the application form, you let us know your delivery time. Is it within a day? If it's within Accra, is it within a day? If it's outside Accra, can you still deliver within a day, or maximum how many days? You know, so they have their own way of tracking to know that, oh, this thing has gotten to its right destination. Not as sophisticated as we would have wished. We are trying to encourage them to use more improved softwares. That's, if I give my item to you, I should be able to sit here with my mobile phone or my computer and then track, just like the international ones do. You know, I should be able to sit in my comfort zone and then track where is my parcel today. Let me refer it back to my daughter. I send her medication a lot, and then when she calls and says, Mom, I'm running out, and then I send it. You know, if I don't get a call by 5 p.m., because when I know she's, you know, the day is over, she's closed from class, she has to be, you know, she should have received it by 4. So latest by 5, 6, I need a call from her. If I don't, then I get, you know, very anxious. Did she get it because she needs it? Did she get it? Until the call comes. But if the courier operators were that sophisticated, I wouldn't be anxious. Even whether she calls or not, I can tell that, oh, she's taking a delivery of it. But yes, I review applications, and then with the domestic ones, I'm yet to see such sophisticated applications where Moomen can send a parcel and then sits in his office and then track it, and then get to know that yes, it's been delivered safely. Yeah, but they are trying. They have their own ways of tracking.
No, but as a commission that is regulating the activities of these service providers, shouldn't you be the ones to provide, to develop these softwares and impose it on them? Because in the long run, it's the interest of the customer that you're looking out for.
Yes, that's it. It's the interest of the customer we are looking out for. And then I think it's a very good suggestion. And then moving forward, I think we will look into that, how we can, together with the relevant stakeholders, come up with softwares. What we have done in the past is encourage them to improve upon their ICT systems. But like you said, it will be worth looking into how we as a commission can come up with these softwares and then make it available for them, so they won't have a reason not to be part of that. Yeah, I think it's a good thing we need to do.
Mr. Tuta, what are the repercussions for any properly registered company that fails to deliver, not just delays, but also totally failed? In some instances, the items even get lost. Are there any repercussions?
Yes. Okay. Before the license is granted, we have what we call license conditions. So, which means that there are standards to be met. And when we apply for the license, we ask you to tell us your delivery times. If the delivery times are acceptable, approval is granted by the Commission. So, when the license is given to you, and then you are not delivering on time, or the items get missing, and it gets to the attention of the commission, then the commission will either ask the person to refund the item, compensate the sender or the customer, depending on the situation. And then if the operator consistently, is found to be culpable or faultless in this particular thing, then the license can even be revoked for non-performance. So there are different sanctions to be applied, depending on the situation of the case. Okay. Was it deliberate? Was it because they didn't have the capacity or the ability? Was it accidental? Did something happen? What was it? Maybe something might have happened. So we investigate and we find out the cause. And if we see that this particular operator, is not performing, is always giving excuses, or the items, postal items given to him, always get missing or damaged, then we know that there's a problem. Then we have to apply the sanctions.
Again, with specific reference to Ghana Post, for instance, which is very much under your regulation, you find that they are now into financial services as well, mobile money transactions. They sell forms for universities and passport forms and so on. Clearly, that is not within your remit. If it is it okay? Tell me what.
Thank you. We have what we call Universal Postal Service. The Universal Postal Service concept is that every Ghanaian, irrespective of where you live in the country, you should be able to avail yourself of basic postal services, i.e., you should be able to post ordinary mail or letter. And then you should be able to get stamp to buy, etc., etc. And the letter boxes, you must also have letter boxes. It's like one of the fundamental human rights, if you like. And government of Ghana is a signatory to the Universal Postal Union Convention. So it's compulsory for government to ensure that people living in Ghana can get access to basic postal services. And the provision of financial services is one of the universal postal services, like mobile money transfer, so that people can you can transfer money to your parents in the village or wherever they are. And we have made it one of the basic postal services now. So we regulate some aspect of it. And in fact, in some other countries, the national postal operators, they even have post banks. Ghana Post, at that time it was PNT, Postal and Telecommunications, they used to have their savings account and those, I remember, yes. So some have banks itself.
That's true.
Yes.
Just about a month ago, I was in Japan, and to transact business in a bank, I was sent to a post office where I had financial transactions in the post office, and I thought that was very innovative. But, Madam Amdaratu, when one is registered, like you said, it gives you some clout and some dignity, to operate, and you earn the trust of people. But others can abuse that trust by engaging in illegal transportation of illicit items. You are aware of that too, I'm sure, and you must have ways of discouraging that.
Yes, I think when that happens, outrightly your license will have to be recalled. We don't give you license to go and be engaging yourselves in all kinds of dubious acts. We entrust the license to you to operate within the remits of the law. So it's a no-no to carry any illegal goods. You don't have the right. Whether you are licensed with us or not, you don't have the right. That one is an outright no. You don't have the right to transport illegal goods. You are licensed to transport only goods that are accepted as legal packages within the laws of the country. So you stand the risk of losing your license.
But how do you ensure, first of all, that they don't even engage in the transportation of illegal goods?
I think it's all in the stated in the, maybe we should have given you a copy of the license for him to go through. Yeah, it's all stated, and then you sign against it with your witness that these are the rules and regulations that you have agreed to abide by. The very first day you decided to regularize your operations. So we have a whole list which covers what you just said. So they don't have an excuse at all. Yes, you would always have people who would not always do things right, but they do that at their own risk. If you are your license will be revoked.
So talking about list, and we're wrapping up now. There is an influx of internet transactions. People sit at home and purchase items that are delivered to them. But how do I trust the company that is going to do the delivery? What if it doesn't come? Do you have a list of properly registered companies, courier service providers, and postal service providers? Do you have a list? If you do, where can the general public find that list to refer to?
For instance, we have just written to one of the key e-commerce companies to furnish the permission with all delivery and all courier service providers and delivery service providers who are working for them and are all working with them. We have asked for that list. We want to be sure that all those doing deliveries for them have been granted licenses by the commission. Yes, yes, we have a telephone number which is 0302, which is the Accra code 770468.
I think our plan moving forward is just what we are doing with you now, is to intensify our public education. Let people know that we are here. We are not here to intimidate anybody. We are not here to, cause harm to anybody like people are trying to make out of the last operations. What we are here to do is to just sanctify the courier sector, make it more competitive. And then just to let the public know that, moving forward for us, even before I give my brief to the public, we want to make ourselves a household name. So we'll be doing more of this, not just Accra alone. We want to expand our operations nationwide. The commission is over a decade old, and then I think it's about time to expand and then grow bigger, just to match up with the fast growing pace of the courier industry. And then we just want the public to know that yes, we are here to support them. They should come, whatever the questions are or the difficulties are with them in terms of acquiring their licenses. That's why we are here. We are here to help them regularize their businesses. It's not an excuse to say you don't know, so you can break the law. Yes, just as we are doing this public education and then creating the awareness and trying to deepen our presence among the Ghanaian community, we won't stop coming after them.
All right.
They should be aware of that. We would educate them, all right, but we will continue to come after them as well.
Thank you very much. And so it means that the days are over when in our office we receive so many reports of people who gave their items out to supposedly courier service providers who would give them a telephone number only for them to call the number and find out that it's off permanently. Those days are over. So make sure that whoever you are dealing with is properly registered with the commission before you proceed to do business with them. That way the industry can be sanitized and we can all be safeguarded. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. We'll see you again tomorrow when we bring you another edition of Moomen Tonight. Have a very good night. Bye-bye.
Million people to work.
Ghana, after 16 years, has a public structure that is not responsible.
Mr. President, I don't know if
Join me,